Welcome to technically episode 2, but the first episode we're actually going to talk about stuff. The problem with protocols, and don't worry, we're not just going to like shit on protocols this whole time. So I'm Dr. Mark Heisig. With me, we got Dr. Ashok Bandari. The plan today is we're going to answer 4 kind of questions around protocols. So, what do we actually mean when we say the word protocol? Where do protocols help and where do they hurt? What role, this is more for the clinicians, but what role should protocols play in training new clinicians? And then we're going to talk about whether a personalized plan can still have protocol like elements. Anything you want to throw in there before we go to question 1?
No, I think that's good. I think one of the big things is going to be just describing what protocols are, right? We've talked about this. The word has lost kind of a lot of its meaning. Um, but yeah, let's jump in and we'll start moving through it.
Cool. All right. So to stay on track, question 1, what do we actually mean by protocol? So I'm going to kick it off. It may be obvious, it may not be obvious if you're not sort of in clinical medicine, but a protocol is basically an algorithm, a decision tree, like heuristic thinking done for you. Um, and so the idea is like, if
I'm
a
losing you here for a second. Hold on. Let me make sure my internet does not cut out on us. So give me 1 second. I'm sitting in a hotel room right now, actually in New York. I don't know if you can still hear me,
yeah,
but um, yeah, we were just on a little weekend trip slash starting the weekend a little early.
For those who don't
So
know, Dr. Bandari is in a new city like every other week, and then he'll be like, "I'm tired. I don't know what's going on."
so just to share here quick, sitting in the hotel. This is the view from Lower East Side Manhattan over to we've got I think Brooklyn over there. Actually, Brooklyn Bridge should be down over there, but um, it's kind of gloomy, so it's okay to spend a little time here in the hotel room chatting. It's okay. I think my internet's better now, so I'll let you roll into that.
All right, cool. So what do we mean by protocol? So I was saying if you're not in clinical medicine, it might not be obvious to think about the word protocol, sort of the semantics of it. But a protocol is basically an algorithm. It's a decision tree. It's sort of heuristic thinking done for you. If problem A, then lead to solution B. If problem A leads to D, then do E. And so in medicine, protocols are, but they're very real, standardized. You'll hear them called like standards of care. They matter, and it's especially true in emergencies like chest pain and EKG findings. Think about a heart attack and like address it. But in the podcast biohacking health influencer world, protocol has sort of been diluted and sort of means like a stack of supplements, a routine, a hack. It's sort of been watered down to like when people say like, I have a theory about that. It's like, no, dude, a theory is a very legitimate fact thing. You have a hypothesis. And so that's like protocol has sort of become hypothesis. And so part of this conversation is going to be clarifying when we say protocol, we're not talking about, and this isn't to slander anything, but we're not talking about like Andrew Huberman's sleep stack. We're talking about actual medical algorithms built from like years and piles of data. So I don't, if you want to add to that for what do we mean?
Totally. I was gonna say I do. I love the guy. I love his content, but I I do blame Huberman for that one. Everyone's like, "What's your protocol for this or that?" And what they mean is like, "What supplement, biohacking technique? What do you do to make your condition better?" But it's so much more than just that. That we can't say that it doesn't include that, but it's so much more than that, right? So it's like a protocol. You can kind of think of it as like two things, I guess, if you want to think of it. It's like there's a decision tree. There's like an algorithm and a decision tree for like a diagnostic workup and figuring out what the hell's going on. And then there's like, okay, well, what do we do about it? There's the treatment plan, and then there's a protocol for the treatment plan.
Mhm.
We tend to stick to that one in the biohacking world, right? We hear just what do we do, and it's a very small portion of that treatment plan, right? So to kind of put together like a simple example would be like SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. People might have heard of this. It's like the protocol might say, hey, use these antibiotics or these drugs for this many days, right? Or you've got hypertension, high blood pressure. It's like, okay, start here, start with this med. That doesn't work, add the next one. That doesn't work, increase the dose. That doesn't work, add. You go in a certain order, right? So it's like it's kind of like the map of how to get there, but it's also of what it looks like, but then the directions, right? Like how do you work your way there?
Yeah, yeah. Um, cool. Yeah, I really do like that you pointed out that we like to focus on the solution side of it, not the workup side of it. It's like, oh, how do I improve my sleep? Oh, use Huberman Sleep Stack. And again, not to poop on Andrew Huberman, but it's like, why do you have bad sleep in the first place? Let's let's work through that. Is if it's obstructive sleep apnea, take magnesium glycinate all you want. Your sleep's not improving. And so yeah, cool. All right. Before we go on rants that'll get us in trouble. Question two: where do protocols help and where do they hurt? Um, to kick it off, they help when the problem is obvious, and we kind of already alluded to this, but like chest pain, EKG findings, heart attack, follow the playbook. If someone comes into you otherwise healthy, has elevated LDL and triglycerides, we're looking at diet, we're looking at exercise, maybe statins or other medications. If they have an elevated hemoglobin A1C, we're thinking diabetes, diet, lifestyle, maybe metformin or insulin. Where protocols get, I think hurt is a strong word. I don't think they necessarily hurt, but where they're less useful is when the problem becomes more murky and multifactorial. And so, two examples from my world would be like POTS and migraines. And so, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia. First of all, it's a syndrome, so it's just a repeatable constellation of symptoms, and we don't quite know why it's there, but we think it could be like hypovolemic, low blood volume. It could be hyperadrenergic. You just dump a buttload of catecholamines when you deal with gravity. It could be neuropathic issues where you've got sympathetic denervation in the legs, and so you stand up and blood pools in your feet. But then we can also layer in like autoimmune issues and MCAS and anxiety, and we also see that people with POTS also tend to have hypermobility